Hello, we're reading from Derek Bell's Faces at the Bottom of the Well. Excuse the lighting. I'm in a darker room. There's not much sunlight outside, so excuse it, but we'll try to make do with what we have. So, as you know, I'm reading about aliens come. They have goods that the United States needs, but they want black bodies in return. So let's continue on. Booker T. Washington was his hero and had been since he was a child growing up in a middle class family in Alabama, not far from Tuskegee, the home of Tuskegee Institute, which Washington had founded in 1881. He had modeled his career on old Booker T. Always a mistake. We're in a different time. And while he did not have a following and he had created no institutions, Golightly knew he had done more for black people than had a dozen of the loudmouth leaders who, he felt, talked much and produced little. But all of his life he had dreamed of there coming a moment when his position as insider would enable him to perform some heroic act to both save his people great grief and gain for him the recognition and the love which, despite his frequent denial, he knew he yearned. Excuse me. Now, as he sat alone, he feared that this morning's meeting was that big chance, and he had failed it. The stakes, of course, were larger than he would have ever imagined they might be, and yet he thought he'd had the arguments. In retrospect, though, those arguments were based on morality and assumed a willingness on the part of the president and the cabinet to be fair, or at least a balance the benefits of the trade against the sacrifice it would require of selected portion of the American people. Instead of outsmarting them, Golightly had done what he so frequently criticized civil rights spokespersons for doing. He had tried to get whites to do right by black people because it was right that they do so. Crazy, he commented when civil rights people did it. Crazy, he mumbled to himself and himself. They only see us as 14th Amendment citizens. And that's all they always see us as. There's some people who, and you can't convince them, and it doesn't really matter what they think. We have to be citizens, whether they think that we are or not. And that means make them certain demands on the government. Period. Oh, Golightly, glad you're still here. I want a word with you. Golightly looked up as the Secretary of the Interior and his most unctuous eased himself into a seat beside him. Listen, old man, sorry about our differences at the meeting. I understand your concerns. Golightly did not look at the man, and indeed kept his eyes on the wall throughout their conversation. What do you want, Mr. Secretary? The secretary ignored Golightly's coldness. You could tell in the meeting and from the media reports that this trade thing is big, very big. There will be debate, as there should be in a great free country like ours. But if I were a betting man, which I am not because of my religious beliefs, I would wager that this offer will be approved. I assume, Mr. Secretary, that to further the best interests of this great free country of ours, you will be praying that the trade is approved. Golightly's voice deepened ironically on the crucial words. The Secretary's smile faded and his eyes narrowed. The President wants you to say whatever you can in favor of this plan. Why don't you simply follow your suggestion, Mr. Secretary, and tell everyone that the space traders are going to take the blacks to a land of milk and honey? The Secretary's voice hardened. I don't think even black people are that stupid. No, Gleason, talk about patriotism, about the readiness of black people to make sacrifices for this country, about how they are really worthy citizens no matter what some may think. We'll leave the wording to you. Isn't sacrifice as proof of patriotism what your Frederick Douglass argued to get President Lincoln to open up the Union Army to black enlistees? And then Golightly asked, his eyes never moving from the wall. We know some blacks will escape. I understand some are leaving the country already. But, and the secretary's voice was smooth as butter, if you go along with the program, Gleason, and the trade is approved, the president says he'll see to it that 100 black families are smuggled out of the country. You decide who they are. They'll include you and yours, of course. Golightly said nothing. After a moment of hesitation, the secretary got up and strolled to the door. Before leaving, he turned and said, think about it, Golightly. It's the kind of deal we think you should go for. And that, my friends, is why you never trust people who work on the inside to do what's best for, for anything other than the inside. And that is also why, if you want justice, you need your own institutions, period. You'll never find justice in a U.S. Court. You'll never find real justice in a U.S. hospital. You'll never find real justice in a U.S. school. You'll never find it, never find it, never find it. So we better get busy to making real independent institutions that can give us the kind of concepts that we need: justice, equality, freedom, creativity, and on and on and on. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your mind, your bodies, and please be safe.